Hey everybody, it's James here with the Sawyer Family Reviews channel and ActionFeatures.net, bringing you a retro review going back to 2012 to check out the Marvel Legends Wolverine series Puck Build-A-Figure Emma Frost White Queen. That's a mouthful. Is this figure worth going back and picking up? Let's find out. Okay, let's take a look at Emma Frost in the packaging first before we take a look at her loose and all her articulation and all that jazz. A little backstory on these first. This is a time when Hasbro is just moving back into Marvel Legends. They'd done the initial lines that weren't all that great when they first got the license, and they switched over to the Marvel Universe 3 3/4 line, and then they did the whole return of Marvel Legends. I'll bring one of those guys over here so you can see what I'm talking about, where it even said in the bubble, Return of Marvel Legends. These were carded figures. It's not like now where they're more boxed figures, collector-friendly packaging. These are carded figures. The difference with the Wolverine line, though, as opposed to the regular Marvel Legends, Return of Marvel Legends, was Return of Marvel Legends all got dedicated art on the card backs. So you had this, like Phantom X here, you've got this big image of Phantom X, whereas all of the Wolverine figures from the Wolverine/Puck collection have just an image of Wolverine and the Wolverine name above it. So that's a slight difference between the other two, and I'll bring in another one so you can see what I mean. Yeah, no dedicated card art along the top. You've just got the image of Wolverine and the word Wolverine for this wave. This is a 4-figure wave. It is White Queen, Sabretooth, Cyclops, and Wolverine, with only 3 figures containing Build-A-Figure parts, and I'll try and squeeze all 3 in. I know I'm getting some camera glare going because of how I have to sit these all up. You can kind of see all 3 of them. Yeah, get on over there. So these are the 3 that actually contain Build-A-Figure pieces, though. And that's the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops, Sabretooth, and Emma Frost. Let's get these guys out of the way. Down below, we have the Manipulators of Memory. And this is because, like some of the Marvel Legends waves, where we moved into the boxed stuff, and even some of these Return of Marvel Legends, they didn't have dedicated inserts at the bottom for 2 different characters. So Manipulators of Memory was going to cover the other figure that was in this wave, or was intended for this wave, this Rogue, which actually didn't get released. So they were both under the Manipulators of Memory moniker, instead of actually having a dedicated name either on the card back or in the little insert up front. So Rogue was going to be in this wave, and a Phoenix Force Cyclops, which we'll get to when we get to the Cyclops review. Neither one of those were produced. There are some sales samples floating around out there that go for a ton of money. There was a really nice Phoenix Force Cyclops that custom went up and it went for a ton of money. Wish that would have gotten made. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. Let me read this to you. No mind can hide from these mutant mavens. One absorbs memories, one forges them through pure telepathic force. And the one that forges them through pure telepathic force is, of course, Emma Frost. So we've got an image of Rogue here that matches her figure, and an image of White Queen here that matches her figure. And then 3 includes legs and torso to build Puck figure. So number 3 designates the pieces that come with Emma Frost. And then the other figures in the line that actually have parts, Cyclops with arms, Sabretooth with head, and then Wolverine just has the base. And down below it also says here, includes Tales of Puck Part 3 of 3. So there's actually a little insert inside this packaging that you'll see in a moment, once we get everything out, that has a little Tales of Puck thing going on. Alright, let's get her out of there. Alright, we've got Emma Frost out of the packaging. I want to preface this really quick. I do have her on a stand. I don't ordinarily include things in these reviews that don't come with the figure, especially right off the bat, but she has a lot of trouble standing up, and I don't want her falling over the entire review, so she's on a stand. Okay, deal with it. Here is the insert that comes along with her. Can you hold that for a second, Emma? Thanks. Collect them all to build Marvel's Puck figure. And in case you couldn't figure out how to build Puck, we've got these instructions that show you to attach the arms on the armholes and put the head on the neck. It's a complicated Build-A-Figure. You got like 4 parts to put together. And then we got a little check mark here that tells you the legs and the torso come with the Manipulators of Memory, which only is Emma Frost. There's no other Manipulator of Memory. Then we've got the Tales of Puck, number 3 of 3 along the side. I'll read that to you. Wolverine is in peril during a battle with the sorcerer Maves and the Beast Wendigo, the Alpha Flight team shows up just in time to turn the tide when a wounded Wolverine is tossed toward the team by Wendigo in an evil twist on the fastball special. It's Puck who catches the hurling hero and gets him to safety. Read more in Wolverine issue 172. And that's the third of 3 Tales of Puck. I like that they're including little stories about Puck, but I know, maybe like print a comic panel or something on here instead of just like a little short story. I don't know. It's weird that there's a whole call out on the package for this little insert with a little tiny piece of a story. I thought that to me strange. Okay, included with her is the Puck torso and legs. Now, Emma Frost, if I'm not mistaken, was 1 per case. I could be wrong on this, so double check me. And if you want to leave a comment in the comments below if I'm totally wrong about this, I want to say that Wolverine was 3 per case, Cyclops was 2 per case, Sabretooth was 2 per case, and Emma Frost was only 1 per case. So for a figure that has such a large chunk of the Build-A-Figure to only be 1 per case, that means you get 1 Puck out of the case. You're left with an extra set of arms, an extra head, and then all those Wolverines, bases, whatever. That's kind of a bummer. No wonder this figure is so hard to find, this Puck. I'll do a full review of Puck once he's built, but when there's one giant chunk that is only available with 1 figure, that's kind of crazy. All right, let's move them outside. Okay, starting with Emma Frost, I want to show you her height. Let's get this in here real quick. Turn to the side. She stands right at about 6 1/4 inches. I've had her stance a little bit wide so she'll sit down, so she'll stand without falling, but she's right around that range. The body itself is a redo of a lot of the female bodies that they had out at this time. I'll bring in Jean here. So you can see the similarities in her body type. They used this, I think, also on Mystique, maybe. But it was like their go-to female right around this time. There's a lot more female bodies they have now. But back then, it was like one basic sculpt, and they'd add, things like these pouches along the sides and the belts, and slight little differences to make the sculpt different. But the body itself was the same basic sculpt. So we've got a lot more variety nowadays, but still, this is not a bad female body. I don't think it's awful. Some of the early Hasbro stuff when they took over Marvel Legends were pretty awful. We'll get to that in a second when we show the Emma Frost comparisons. I don't think that this body sculpt is terrible. I really don't. I think it still kind of holds up. There's a couple things in the articulation that don't work as well as they do nowadays. And like I said, she is really hard to stand thanks to these high heels, but I don't think the body sculpt is awful by any means. Let's get her off of there for a second, and we'll run through the articulation really quickly. Let me make sure I've got it enough camera angle here. Yeah. So she's got the rocker ankles that go back, or side to side of a pivot, and then they hinge back and forth. They go back that much and go forward that much. So there's not a lot of room there. It is a tight joint, but there's not a lot of movement back and forth. Then she's got the double knee joint, and that'll bring all the way back to there. Then she's got a swivel at the top of the hip, and she's got those weird hip style things going on where it's got a joint that goes like this, and you've actually got to rotate it to be able to go in and out. So it's not like a standard ball, it's like inserted onto that thing, and then it moves this way, and then there's actually a swivel inside there that you have to turn to get it to do movement that way. That's a little frustrating. That's probably the worst joint of the bunch. But other than that, the articulation is pretty much comparable to a lot of the modern day stuff. She's got a nicely hidden mid-torso joint. There's not a lot of like up and down movement on it. You get that much, and you get that much. There is some good side to side on it. It goes all the way 360 degrees. There's not much on all the way around. The side to side is pretty much non-existent. The back and forth is a little bit, and then rotates all the way around, but that's about it. Then she's got shoulders that swivel all the way around, and then they hinge out all the way up to there. So there's a lot of shoulder movement, not restricted by the hair, which is nice. Then she's got the elbow joint where it inserts into the bicep. So we've got swivel all the way around there, and then a hinge that can go up to there and all the way down to there. So good movement in the elbows too, even though it's a single elbow joint. Then we've got rotation at the wrist, and then those hinge in and out all the way. And then as far as the neck joint goes, it is a ball joint. It's just popped on a ball. There's not a lot of movement though. It's got maybe that much back, that much forward. And then we can't get it all the way around, but it is restricted by the hair. So you have to kind of work the hair around if you're going to do a lot of movement in there. Let me get her back on this base so she's not falling over on me as we keep talking about her. She has no accessories at all. The big gripe I think that a lot of people have is that she didn't come with a cape, because Emma Frost wears a cape a lot. She does have this belt piece that's a separate piece that's kind of floating around on there, but it doesn't come off. I think that a cape would have really helped out on this figure a lot. That part's kind of a bummer. As far as paintwork goes, mine's pretty nice. There's a little bit of the edge lines that are not the cleanest in the world. She's got a little glop of pink on the arm, but there's not a lot of paint going on here, so there's not a lot to mess up. Like her torso is actually molded in flesh tone, so the undie piece is painted, and it's not a perfect match to the plastic color of the legs. It has a sort of a silverish pearlescent look to it. The paint does match the torso. I mean, the corset area and the underwear area do match each other. And it may be intentional that that's more of a silverish, and then the legs themselves are more of a white. I don't know. Maybe they're making the outfit look like it's got underwear on the outside. I have no idea. It's not a super, super glaring thing that you'd see on your shelf and go, oh my gosh, it's a different color. But it's there. She also has a little, like, choker underneath there. They've painted a choker underneath her head. This may be kind of tough to pull up on the camera here. Yeah, you can see it. As always, I'll have a gallery linked in the info section below if you want more pictures of the figure. The face paint itself is really nice, too. She's got a nice silver lipstick, and the eyes are straightforward. A lot of times, you get these wonky eye things going on. Mine looks really nice, though. I don't have a lot of stray lines going on anywhere, and the eyes are going straight forward. She's got very thin eyebrows. Overall, it's a nice-looking figure. Like, it's a pretty-looking sculpt, and the paintwork is nice. She also has nicely detailed laces on the back of the corset, which they didn't have to sculpt that, but they're there. So, overall, it's not a bad figure. It's, for being its age now, it's kind of holding up pretty nice. It's plain. There are other White Queen outfits that are better than this. I would love if we get an 80s White Queen as opposed to this more modern take from like Astonishing X-Men. We are getting an Emma Frost at Walgreens, but she's wearing that more current black outfit. So, but when we think about what came before, possibly the worst Marvel Legend ever made, and one of the worst female figures ever made by Hasbro, I can't even get this figure to stand. This thing is garbage. Oh, hold on. I'm going to have to do this like behind the camera real quick here. She's standing. Okay. Oh, no. She's not going to stand for long. This figure is awful. I mean, it's really, really awful. She's probably going to fall down, and I really don't care. That's a terrible figure. Then we've got the Marvel Select one, which is actually a pretty decent figure. The articulation is far superior on this Marvel Legends version than it is on the Marvel Select one. But as far as sculpt goes, the Marvel Select one is really nice. So, I would say that you'd probably be just as good at getting the Marvel Select version. You're going to be cheaper in the long run, unless you wanted to build Puck, than picking up this one. You could probably just wait it out for Marvel Legends White Queen version. If you can't wait it out, I'd pick up the Marvel Select. So let's take a look at those real quick here. So let's bring in Cyclops here and show him standing next to White Queen. So those look pretty good together. She's a little on the tall side, but again, she's wearing heels. But if you bring over this one, you know, I guess that is a little too tall. That's really not going to work out for you unless you put it back further on the shelf. And again, she's on a base too, so that adds a little bit of height. Still, I mean, she's tall. She's a little bit tall. This is like a $100 loose figure, though. Who's going to buy that at this point? I didn't pay that for her. But I can't imagine anybody that's going to really pony up $100 for this figure. I mean, she's okay, and she's fine if you bought her at retail still, but to pay that nowadays for her, I would say that's a mistake. That you shouldn't do that. That's a lot of money to spend on this figure, and she's just not all that great. She'll look good with your modern display, that's fine. She'll look good with your current figures, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to spend. Unless you're building Puck. Unless you absolutely have to build Puck, and you really have to have White Queen like right now, I would wait it out. If you absolutely have to have White Queen right now, get the Marvel Select version and stick her far back on your display so that you can't see the height difference. Those are my recommendations. I did try to put the Marvel Select cape on her just a bit ago, and it's too big. It doesn't work out right. I did not put on the Marvel Legends one, though. Let's take a look at that. That may be the one thing that the Marvel Legends figure is actually good for, is to donate this cape. Let's get this on here. I don't know if I'll be able to buckle it behind the camera. Oh, this is really tough to do. The hair makes this tough. The hair makes it really tough to get this underneath. Oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Well, there we go. Hang on. Now we're getting somewhere. Sorry guys, I probably should have done this with the camera turned off instead of making you suffer through me trying to put this on here. Okay, so I almost have it buckled. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so that works. I actually kind of like that. That makes the figure to me look a lot better. It looks more in keeping with the other modern X-Men figures from Hasbro. She doesn't look as plain, doesn't look as naked. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so again, this figure is way expensive now. Is it a good figure? I think it's a pretty decent figure. Is it worth $100? No chance. Just wait it out. They will eventually, hopefully, do a White Queen. It'll probably be in her classic 80s attire. I don't know if they'll revisit this figure anytime soon, but hopefully just wait it out and get a modern White Queen. Or, you know, worst comes to worst, get the new one and put her head on Dagger or something. Close enough, right? Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops from this wave, then Sabretooth, then Wolverine, and then who knows what happens next. I guess we'll find out. As always, there will be an info section below on the YouTube video where it has a link to the gallery over at actionfeatures.net if you want to check that out. Yeah, if you want to leave a comment below, do you like the figure? Do you own the figure? Do we need a new White Queen? Are you happy with this figure? Is it bonkers to pay that much money for now? I don't know. You guys tell me. And yeah, if you like the videos, click like, click subscribe, click notify, and I'll see you guys next time.